They turned back quickly at the babies, but the little ones were nowhere to be found. After a second of confusion, Clyde and Sue forgot about the mysterious children and made a mad dash for their cottage, the enormous boulder turning pink as it closed in on them, and growing a pair of huge blue eyes. They could have sworn that they heard a familiar laugh as Clyde opened the door, letting his wife sprint in and slam it closed behind him. Their eyes shut tight as they braced themselves against the door, waiting for the inevitable, but nothing came. Shaking, they slowly opened their eyes as they held their breath. They glanced out at the corners of their eyes towards the door, wondering what was going on. Relieved that the bizarre incident seemed to be over, they sighed in relief. That relief slowly disappeared when they noticed that they were somehow back in their bedroom, even though they went in through the front door. With a quick look around them, they also found out that there was only a single window in the room, high over their heads, letting in a faded beam of moonlight. On the bed before them, they saw a pair of figures lying on their sides, facing away from each other. Stepping forward, Clyde and Sue gasped as it became clear who was in front of them. It was them, sound asleep. Suddenly, from the other side of the house, a grinding noise, like metal scraping against the wood floor, faded into existence, just loud enough for them to hear through the door, coupled with what sounded like hoofsteps. With each passing sound, it grew closer. In a panic, Clyde reached for the doorknob to lock it, but the knob faded away. The couple backed up and hit the foot of the bed, but were too terrified to try and move, now that they had anywhere to go. The bedroom door was encircled by a faint glow of light that leaked in from an unknown source. The scraping sound halted just outside, and a final pair of steps reached the entrance. A shadow of the intruder's hooves leaked in from under the lip of the door, and the couple's stomach turned, fearing what was about to become of them. With a loud creak, the door came open, revealing a welcome sight to Clyde and Sue.
Pinkamena? Pinkamena Diane Pie, is that you?
Sue asked, cautiously optimistic.
Celestia, it is you, Pinkamena. Pinky. How have you been? What are you doing here?
She stared at them, a numb look in her eyes. For once, the party pony wasn't smiling, a silent fury behind her eyes. And she showed it, clear as day on her face. The pickaxe she was dragging on the floor helped drive the idea home.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Dear? Sue said nervously, smiling, as she noticed the tool.
What are you going to do with that? You're scared half to death. Funny you should say that. What I want to know is why you're smiling. We don't smile here on Pie Family Rock Farm. Remember? She asked harshly.
That was a long time ago, Pinky. Her father spoke up. We've been through some things, and...
Shut it,
Pinky said angrily, cutting him short. She stepped inside, scratching the pickaxe against the floor like a claw on a chalkboard, and pushing her parents over the edge of the bed onto and into their own bodies. The motionless husks absorbed their own images and snapped awake, immediately spotting their demented daughter.
Pinky, what's going on?
Sue cried out. In an instant, the cries, a series of vines and branches, swung out from under the bed and wrapped themselves around their limbs, digging in tight. They grunted and struggled against the insanity, desperately and fruitlessly, trying to get free. As they fought their restraints, Pinky's right eye began to twitch. She shook her head, getting rid of the unusual spasm. Pinky never felt that before. She glanced away, confused, but decided it was best to ignore it and focus on what she came here for.
You're still lying in bed right now. This is only a dream. You can keep telling yourself that all you want, but it won't help you wake up,
she informed her parents. Wait. How are we both in the same dream? That doesn't make any sense, Clyde said.
I arranged it. I wanted to see you both. Particularly the look on your faces when I...
She tapped the pickaxe. Another spasm hit her cheek. What? Why? Trying to hold back her hatred, she squinted angrily and grit her teeth behind her lips.
Because I was born here. You never allowed me or my sisters to smile, to laugh, to be fillies and do what little fillies do. No. Instead, we worked ourselves to the bone, doing some ridiculous job that had absolutely no meaning to any pony. Perhaps if these rocks had gems in it, like how some pony I knew used to find them, then maybe it would have made sense. But no, they were just rocks. You never had any idea how much I hated and resented you for everything you did. But, you were so happy after you got your cutie mark, she said frantically. What about that? Was it never real? Oh, it was. But my hatred remained nonetheless, buried nice and deep. There were a couple of times where it even came out to the surface despite the cutie mark. And think, if you had any intelligence, caring parents, it likely would have never happened. Heck, for all we know, I might still be living. And I emphasize living.
Her parents gasped in shock, realizing what she was saying.
On the farm. Perhaps I would have been okay with pushing around your stupid rocks like an idiot. But that's neither here nor there anymore. Tell me, Dad, do you still bring home the evening newspaper every night like clockwork?
After slowing down his horrified breathing, he squeaked out a yes.
I'm willing to bet there was some interesting activity going on in Appaloosa recently.
The old stallion stared at the maniac intently, his thoughts going a mile a minute. Bit by bit, everything sank in and his mouth fell open in disbelief. You. That was you, wasn't it?
Clyde, what's she talking about? Yes, Clyde. What are you talking about? Pinky parroted.
The murders. In Appaloosa.
What? Pinky, you didn't.
With a slow lick of her lips and a gentle caress of her pickaxe, Pinky smiled for the first time that night. Sue wept as her daughter wordlessly confirmed her father's suspicions.
Hey, don't feel bad. In just a few moments, we'll have ourselves our very own little family reunion, aside from my sisters. But they won't be harmed. They didn't do anything,
the pink mare said, twitching again. She turned and stared at her panicking mother and father.
Pinky.
We're sorry.
Please, don't do this. We only wanted you.
The couple screamed as Pinky lifted the pickaxe over her head, ready to drive it into them, when she quickly lowered it back down and looked off into the distance, fascinated by something she sensed. Her smile grew wider, and she chuckled to herself. Pinky's sudden pause gave her mom and dad a bit of hope that she might have come to her senses.
I knew she'd slip up sooner or later. But she seems to be shrouded in something. Must be Celestia's work. Put a protective spell on her or something, and it must be fading. Still, I see you, Twilight.
She bit her lip and bounced with glee.
Oh, this night had suddenly turned out even better than I expected. As much as I'd like to stick around and, reminisce, I kinda have to go. But this mood I'm suddenly in, it makes me want to sing a song. And you know just the one.
She leapt onto the bed and swung her pickaxe into the air, slamming it into her parents' bodies in sync with the words. I've been working on the rock farm all the livelong days. I've been working on the rock farm just to take your life away. Can't you hear the pony screaming, oh, so early in the morn? When I feel that I'm finished, you'll wish you weren't born. Clyde and Sue stopped screaming almost immediately.